Call the roll. Councilwoman Kaplan. Chairman DeFilia.
Here.
Vice Chairman Palutis.
Here.
Ms. Valente.
Here.
Mr. Beal.
Here.
Mr. Adis.
Here.
Mr. Manal.
Here.
Mr. Bogdanovich. Mr. Mamie.
Here.
Mr. Goslin.
Here.
And Mr. Berkowitz.
Here. We have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Meeting's open. I would like to ask everyone to please stand and we'll salute the flag. Start the meeting. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chairman's statement. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for the meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice has been sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and filed in the office of the Township Clerk. Emergency notice, there's an emergency exit in the courtroom doors right here to my right and to the left. Please, no smoking. Board policy, no new cases will be started after 10 p.m. and no new testimony will be taken after 10:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. Notice all meetings will be videotaped and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channel, Channel 22, on Verizon Files, and Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off or muted. If you need to make a call, please exit the courtroom. New businesses, to amend the master plan, the new business tonight agenda, to amend the master plan of the Township of Ocean by the adoption of a housing element and fair share plan that addresses municipal affordable housing planning requirements for round 4 as defined in the amended Fair Housing Act, New Jersey, SA 52:27D-301, and proposes various compliance mechanisms to address the round 4 of affordable housing obligations as set forth. At the hearing, opportunity will be given to all interested parties to be heard, after which time the planning board may take action and adopt the HEFSP. The planning board reserves the right to make amendments to the HEFSP at the public hearing prior to adoption and without further notice. This time, Mr. Lexstein, do you have anything for the board?
I do not. I think the planner's there and she will, or he will make the presentation.
All right, at this time I'd like to ask our planner to please present to the planning board.
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and planning board members. I'm Mary Beth Lonergan. I'm a New Jersey licensed professional planner. I have a certification from the American Institute of Certified Planners. I'm a partner at Clark Payton Hens. We're a planning, landscape architecture, and architecture firm. I've been working with the township, I think, for about 15 plus or minus years now. I have an expertise in affordable housing planning. I do this type of work for municipal planning boards and governing bodies throughout the state. And I'm also a special adjudicator for the Superior Court system in affordable housing, in Mount Laurel affordable housing matters, in about 50 matters across the state. Before you tonight is the housing element and fair share plan. It's, as you know, it's a required element of your master plan. I always like to just start with just what is affordable housing, what are income limits. Sometimes it's helpful to understand that. Based on the 2025 income limits set forth from the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, they just released income limits where for a 2-person household, the maximum moderate income a household could earn and qualify for lower moderate income housing is a little over $86,000. For a 4-person household, it's a little bit less than $110,000. So you can see it's really for folks that are households with folks working, 2-earner households in some instances. This affordable housing also serves very low-income households. Those, the same thing, 2-person household A household can qualify as very low income at a little less than $32,000 a year, and for a 4-person household, a little less than $40,000. Before you tonight is the 4th round housing element and fair share plan. We're in decades. We've been at this for about 4 decades now. Back in the 1980s, that's really considered the first round. Second round, pretty much in the 1990s. Third round was a really long round. Went from 1999 to in 2 weeks. It'll be over pretty much in 2 weeks. The good news is that Ocean Township has had been prepared and has court approval of your 3rd round housing element and fair share plan. That was from, I want to say 2019. I'm pretty sure the housing plan was from 2019. I'm going to just summarize the plan. I handed out just excerpts from the plan, just to give you a brief sense of the affordable housing developments that have addressed your fair share obligation, as well as just a summary of the participation that the township, that you participated in the Superior Court process. The new law came about a little over a year ago in March of 2024. The new law was an amendment to the New Jersey Fair Housing Act. And it brought really forth a different direction for towns to address their constitutional low and moderate income affordable housing obligation. Some of the key points of the new law was that it abolished the former state agency COA, Council on Affordable Housing. It abolished that state agency. It instituted a new court-based program, the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program. It also required very specific deadlines to meet, and I'll go over some of the specifics in a second. It required the Department of Community Affairs to generate affordable housing numbers for all towns across the state, including Ocean Township. It required both DCA, Department of Community Affairs, as well as HMFA, Housing Markets Finance Agency, to come up with new regulations. And HMFA's regulations really cover the affordable housing detailed regulations known as the Uniform Housing Affordability Control. DCA did meet the October 24, 2024 deadline for coming up with generating new affordable housing numbers for all towns. And for Ocean Township, your present need, so it's a 2-part 4th round number. The first part is the present need, but it's normally or typically called the rehabilitation share. You have a rehabilitation share of 51, and you have a prospective need. It's really, the 4th round will go from July 1st of this year out 10 years to June 30th of 2035. And your prospective need number is 166. I'm going to go over some other numbers, but generally speaking, your prospective obligation is less important because you are, and you will, as part of the Housing Element Fair Share Plan, you will continue your request for a vacant land adjustment. The court granted that back as part of your 3rd round plan, and we have every belief that they will continue to grant that adjustment. And I'll give you a little bit more detail. The first deadline really for the township, the most important deadline, or one of the 2 most important deadlines, was your January 31st, 2025 deadline, which I'm happy to say that you addressed. The towns across the state had to adopt a resolution to commit to addressing their fourth round obligations. And towns also had to file to participate in the Superior Court process. And you filed a new fourth round declaratory judgment action, which just simply means entering into the Superior Court process. The township governing body adopted the binding resolution agreeing to address the DCA projected numbers, the two-part numbers. And again, it was really because you knew that you would be seeking a continuation of your vacant land adjustment. The court approved your commitment to address your fourth round obligation in April of this year. Another deadline, February 15th, happy to report that the township also met that statutorily required deadline to monitor, provide affordable housing details on all your affordable housing units, as well as on your affordable housing trust funds, both the collection of affordable funds as well as the expenditure. And now before us really is the most important deadline, which is the June 30th deadline to submit a municipal adopted, from the planning board, municipal adopted housing element and fair share plan. And as I said to the governing body just a few minutes ago, the important twist is that the document must be submitted to the court and to the program within 48 hours of adoption. The fourth round housing element is a bit of a misnomer because it actually is still a cumulative housing plan. It goes back to, and you saw it addressed all the way back to your first round and second round obligation, which are now, we typically refer to them as the prior round obligation. I'd like to just quickly go over some numbers. These are really big fair share obligation, which you'll start to hear. So the Council on Affordable Housing, before they were abolished, they had assigned the township a prior round obligation. And again, that was from the 1987 to 1993. Sorry, 1987 to 1999. Your prior round prospective obligation was 873. Your third round prospective obligation was 518. Just both of those total just a shade under 1,400. And those two obligations were adjusted by virtue of just the lack of developable land in the township. And initially that was adjusted down to 280. And the 280 is referred to the realistic development potential. And it's really based on an analysis of lands in the township that may redevelop, that were under approval, under review. I don't recall the name of the development. I just passed it on my way in, but the big development there at Deal in 35, that generated part of your argument. Preliminarily, this 280 unit combined prior round and third round RDP, it was approved by the court in 2019. And preliminarily, since that time, information became known that eliminated one of the big sites also. That was part of the generation of this 280 unit RDP. It's the Ocean Glade site. So we had preliminary conversations with Fair Share Housing Center. They're a statewide housing advocacy group involved in all of the third round settlement agreements. that Ocean Township was one. I want to say that there probably was about 400 settlement agreements across the state in the third round. And we brought to Fair Share Housing Center's attention information about Ocean Glades, that it really, DP was never going to find it suitable for residential development. And they agreed preliminarily to take the 280 RDP down to 237. Separate and apart from the 237 unit RDP is our firm worked with the township team and, excuse me, and we analyzed, were there any changed circumstances? It's a legal term in the Mount Laurel doctrine that really speaks to the provision of, for vacant land adjustment towns. Did anything change that was part of the initial decision, like there was a change from the 280, right? Ocean Glades came off, so they dropped it down to 237. And then it was from that initial 2019 vacant land analysis, were there any other major change circumstances between then and really the date of the plan is May 2025? And there were some changes, and that's reflected in a new updated, sorry, not updated, it's just a new fourth round VLA, or sorry, RDP, realistic development potential of 27. So you're still, you, the township, you still have means to address the 237 RDP, the prior round and third round, and now means to address the 27 unit RDP for the fourth. I'm going to now just simply summarize the means that are spelled out with full crediting documentation in the appendices. But your fourth round housing element fair share plan, again, it's going to address the four main components. Your fourth round rehabilitation share. Again, that's a 51 unit obligation, and the township has participated in the Monmouth County housing rehab program for probably decades at this point. And so it's really one of the best programs across the state. And that rehab program focuses on homeowner occupied units. In addition to that program is federally funded. In addition to, and they only are allowed to utilize the funds for homeowner occupied units, the township will also be implementing a local municipal rehabilitation program for renter occupied units. The second part of this cumulative plan, again, is the combined prior round, third round RDP of 237. And over time, I'm sure you're all aware of the sites. You have 100% affordable senior sites, such as Heritage Village at Ocean and Heritage Village at Oakhurst. You also have inclusionary affordable sites. Inclusionary, it's typically 80% or 85% market rate housing, which self-subsidize 15 or 20% affordable units. You know some of these developments: Primrose Place, Wayside Point, Roosevelt Properties. The Affordable Housing Alliance also addressed part of your combined 237 unit RDP with a 100% affordable family complex on Cindy Lane. And part of their new proposed fourth round 100% affordable housing site is actually going to replace part of the lost credits from Ocean Glades. Lastly, the township is eligible, and you previously received court credit for rental bonuses, and that was for hosting affordable family rental units in the township. In the, again, to address your fourth round RDP of 27, we have a couple surplus senior affordable credits from Heritage Village at Oakhurst, as well as some new inclusionary developments approved by the township as part of some redevelopment, either informal or formal redevelopment activities at 280 Norwood, as well as 44 Monmouth Road. And the large part of your fourth round, and again, part of your prior round RDP, is being addressed by the new proposed site proposed by the Affordable Housing Alliance. It's the site just to the west of Route 35, in between Valley Road and Sunset. And it's about 10 acres. It's township-owned land, and the township will donate that land, and that's part of the exhibits handed out. The township will donate that land to the Affordable Housing Alliance, and they will seek state and federal funds called the Low-Income Housing Tax Credits. I'm sure they'll also seek Monmouth County Home Funds, which it's another funding source for for affordable rental units. I am going to just briefly mention, so I really focused much of my discussion or summary discussion on means that the township used to address the specific RDP requirements, but the balance of your fair share obligation doesn't go away. It's called unmet need, and there's less specific requirements for a one-for-one means to address that obligation, but you have addressed the court required and the statutory requirements for meeting and providing kind of aspirational means to address the unmet need from the first round, second round, and third round, and now the fourth round. You've adopted an affordable housing development fee ordinance. And you've collected significant sums, and you have currently in your affordable housing trust funds, you have almost $4 million. We project that you're going to collect another $1.5 million, and the vast majority of that money will go to help site work at this new township site for the Affordable Housing Alliance. You also have from adopted inclusionary overlay zoning on your golf courses, in some other areas, a new affordable housing overlay zone for the fourth round, and that's really what it's meant to. It's overlay zoning, so the by right underlying zoning remains, so it's not making any current uses. I'm blanking on the term. Non-conforming. So it keeps the underlying use non-conforming, but it allows, if there's going to be future redevelopment, it allows and requires really inclusionary development where 20% of any housing units would be affordable. You also have a township-wide mandatory set-aside ordinance for any new multifamily development, whether it's through rezoning or redevelopment, or a D variance or use variance at the zoning board, that any type of multifamily housing would also be required to provide 20% of the units as affordable. Some other plan components are just the township has met its statutory required very low income unit. Again, you've you have a spending plan that you must commit and to expend your trust funds. And that you have court-approved fair share ordinance, development fee ordinance, affirmative marketing plan, all of these required affordable housing documents that once the state agencies finalize all their various rulemaking, DCA has proposed rules, HMFA is I think that their board meeting I think next week is going to be proposing another iteration of UHAC, the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. And so all of your various affordable housing ordinances and those kinds of things will be updated once the state regulations are final. And with that, I'm going to just conclude this summary testimony, and I would recommend that you adopt the fourth round housing element and fair share plan. I believe it addresses the requirements of the municipal land use law. I believe it addresses the requirements of the amended Fair Housing Act, as well as the Monmouth Rule Doctrine. I believe it's consistent with the goals and objectives of your master plan, and I do believe that the plan is in the public interest and would serve the general welfare. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or public may have.
Thank you very much. Do any of the board members have any questions? Mr. DeFilia, do you have any questions for the planner?
I do not.
I just have one, just overall, we're going from 1,400 units to 1,600 units after the fourth round, is that what we're talking about?
That's for overall,
Yeah.
that's right, yep. Yep. And that's coming down to 237 and 27, or adjusted down, yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, just another question too. Were there other, you mentioned the Affordable Housing Alliance area, were there other areas that were identified? Is that just the only area?
Yeah, that's the only area for a proposed 100% affordable housing development.
Okay, and the rest would be percent, right? The rest of the areas are,
Say that again?
the rest of the areas are based on the percent, right there. This is just one, that area is the only one for 100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and the other areas are, it'd be mixed, like 20% would be for. Okay.
Yes, the inclusionary, the overlay zone.
Overlay. Okay, thank you.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Mr. Lickstein, do you have anything? Or anyone from the public?
I do not. I thought the presentation was self-explanatory, so I would just, yes, please open to the public.
Hearing nothing from the public, make a motion to adopt the fourth round housing element and fair share plan, HEFSP, as an amendment to the master plan. Do I have a motion from?
And Mr. Chairman, I believe
Yes.
you also have a resolution for that adoption. If you just want to adopt the resolution and the report at the same time, I think that would be appropriate.
Adopt the fourth round and the resolution. Thank you.
I second.
Do I have a motion to make the motion?
I thought, yeah.
We have a second already. Yeah. Do I have someone from the board to make the motion?
I'll motion.
And I second.
Excellent. Nicole, would you mind calling the roll?
Sure. Chairman DeFilia?
Yes.
Oh, we can't vote. Vice Chairman Palutis?
Yes.
Ms. Valente?
Yes.
Mr. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Adis?
Yes.
Mr. Manel?
Yes.
Mr. Maney?
Yes.
Mr. Goslin?
Yes.
And Mr. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Thank you.
The adoption of the motion and the resolution have passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome. I'm going to hang around for the governing body.
Absolutely. You're right up next.
And
At this time, is there any
by tomorrow, that would be great.
is there any old business that we need anything from the board?
We're going to get the resolution.
I'd like to ask for a motion from the board to adjourn. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Any objections?